What's going on, everyone? So Minnesota is just such a fascinating team, right? Like every year they're like a 6 seed, and every year they just beat everybody in the playoffs. Like it's the strangest thing. It's really not, though, in all seriousness, right? Like they are perfectly built and equipped for the playoffs. They have kind of the ideal center to match up and defend all the kind of top centers in the Western Conference in particular. I mean, Jokic, Wemby, right? Şengün, right? DeAndre Ayton, right? You name it. Isaiah Hartenstein, any of these guys. Like Rudy Gobert, say what you want about him. Defensively, I mean, again, he's 4-time Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. And he's somebody that, again, just matches up really well against some of the top elite centers in basketball, which bode really well. On top of that, you have a team that is littered with size and athleticism and two-way capability, and just, again, they have all the things. Like I've said for years now that Minnesota is like a point guard away from winning potentially multiple championships. Every year they get to the conference finals. And every year they end up losing the conference finals because, that starts to weigh on them. You start having those games where it's just like, man, you really need that decision maker, really make that playmaker. Like if you had a prime Mike Conley, Minnesota would have won the last 2 years. Like I'm very confident about that. Like it's just, again, it's tough when you don't have that true playmaker. And then you're putting so much on Anthony Edwards, and if he ends up having a bad game or a bad moment or whatever, then you're losing. So, Ayo Dosunmu's been really good for them, but he's more of that, again, that combo guard than more of a he's not the playmaker that I think they need, right? Like, I've talked about on my Laker channel, as it stands Lakers, that like Minnesota is an Austin Reeves away from being the best team in basketball because he's another guy that gives you shot creation alongside Anthony Edwards, as well as that playmaker that they really need and someone that can initiate. And they have the defense and athleticism and versatility around Austin Reeves to mask him on the defensive side of things. So you're like, that would be like best case scenario, right? So Houston really they're a team that is just such a tough matchup for anybody in the playoffs because they're such a unique team in, again, having Rudy Gobert and his size, his strength, his physicality. Offensively, the guy's inept, right? And he can be incredibly frustrating. But then you watch a series like Minnesota or like Denver, and you're just like, dude, this guy's brilliant. He held Jokic to 26%, a little under 27% from the floor. Like, the worst ever in the playoffs for him, right? Like that's a testament. Talking about, again, the best center in basketball, one of the greatest players we've ever seen. And Rudy Gobert made him look pedestrian. He didn't just slow him down, right? Like, you always hear, it's like, man, can they just kind of slow him down? He's going to get his, but can you slow him down a little bit? No, they weren't, it wasn't even like a slow down. It was like, hey, we're going to have you to a screeching halt. Which again is incredibly impressive for a Minnesota team. No, they feel like that team that is like, if they stay the course, right? The question is, if they end up losing, do they just kind of panic and tear it down, right? Because if I'm Minnesota, I'm looking at this as like, I need to push my chips in and go get a center. Like I do, I got to push my chips in and go get a center. Like every year they're disappointing in the regulars, or not. Sorry, center, not a center, point guard. Point guard. I need to push my chips in and get a point guard. Correction. Sorry. I just think if you're every year, again, they have their struggles in the regular season. Part of his injury, Anthony Edwards missing stuff like that. But once you get to the playoffs, you're going to have to beat Minnesota. And it's not easy. They just match up so well. They're so challenging. They're so tough. They're physical. They got size. They defend. They're athletic, right? They have shot making. They have 3-point shooting. They have, everything that you can want, except for that real kind of glue piece to put it all together. That real playmaker that's going to be able to put it all together. So, like, if I'm Minnesota, and they were hoping, Rob Dillingham was going to be that for them, but the problem is you were counting on a rookie to come in and be your savior, right? Like, they need a veteran piece, right? And the problem is like, who is that guy for them that is realistic that they could get? Like, is the thing. Like, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't go and try to go, like, bring in a Chris Paul or something like that. Like, he'd be ideal for this. Just to give them some playmaking. Just to give them, like, some of that initiating. Right? Like I said, guys that, like, immediately come to mind. That is like, man, him on Minnesota would be terrifying. Is, again, somebody like an Austin Reeves. I mean, we'll see what happens with Chicago. They have, like, 15 point guards. But, like, Josh Giddey makes some sense for them because he's got some size, can defend, right? Like, you need somebody that doesn't take away from what they're doing, but can kind of put it all together for them, right? Like, you don't want to have somebody that kind of takes the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands or, Julius Randle's hands or anything like that. But you want somebody that can kind of, again, get you initiated, play on ball, play off ball. Hey, that's why, like, a prime Mike Conley would be perfect. Like, perfect. Like, if you could get somebody like that, like, that'd be brilliant, right? Fred VanVleet might be somebody that's worth maybe taking a look at, but his injury history, he's just not, like, super fit. He's just so hot and cold, right? Like, but so I like, man, I wish you could just turn the clock back on a Mike Conley. Like, he'd be brilliant for them. But, like, you need somebody that can really truly play make and break down teams, and just, like, kind of put it all together for you in a frame. Because every year you see Minnesota, every year everyone's like, oh, Minnesota's going to be terrible. Oh, are they even going to make the playoffs? Oh, they're the 6th seed again. Oh, they're trash, right? Like, this, that, and the other. And then you get to the playoffs and it's just like, man, Denver's struggling. San Antonio's going to struggle. Like, everybody you look at, they always struggle with Minnesota because they're such a unique matchup. They're such a tough matchup. They're literally built. And you got to keep in mind, the guy that built Denver built Minnesota, right? Like, Minnesota was literally built to beat Denver, right? So, like, Minnesota is the exact team that Denver does not want to play, which is why it was so odd that Denver, like, won those games to play them, right? Like, Denver would be up 2-0 against Houston right now, getting ready to sweep them. And Lakers would be fighting for their lives against Minnesota. And yet, you decided, no, we want to play them. It's crazy. But anyways, always, this is a discussion. I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Also, if you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.